Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Amber Rose, also known as the Religious Hippie. You can basically follow me on any social media platform, or you can go straight to my website at thereligioushippie.com. I know it's been a hot minute. I wanted to live stream before we left for our honeymoon slash month-long road trip slash my sister's wedding. Unfortunately, between packing, moving around, trying to get the ministry stuff in order, etc. If I did, it would have been at like 1 a.m. So I didn't do it. I'm sorry. But I'm glad to see all of you guys here today and I'm glad to be back. Honestly, I feel so refreshed. I feel like I am back in the saddle again with a new mindset, a new found love for this ministry that I feel like I kind of lost a while ago because I just felt like I was focusing on all the wrong things. And so now that I'm back, I'm really, really excited to kind of dive into what this ministry to me at least has always been about, which is you guys and ministering to you guys and you know teaching those who have fallen away from the faith or are coming back or beginners in general about the faith. And so to me that was the most important thing and I feel like I've just really been slacking in that area. um so I'm very, very excited to kind of get back in the saddle and do all of that. So thank you so much, everybody, for congratulating me and everything. Hi, Maddie. Hi, sweetie. I miss you. We'll go for coffee soon. Um, but well, maybe not coffee. You shouldn't have coffee yet. You're too young for coffee, but I'll have coffee. I'll get you a tea or something. A refresher. I'll get you a refresher. But yeah, so today's video is kind of just me going over the last few life events, kind of updating you guys because I know a lot has changed and when it comes to the ministry, I'm trying to figure out where I want things to go with this. But I definitely think taking the approach that I am currently now that I'm back is the right approach for the ministry. And I'm so, so excited for it. So definitely stay tuned for all the fun stuff we have planned. But for now, I'm just going to update you guys. So we kind of left off um, before I got married. So I'm officially married. There's the proof. Woo. It's not focusing, but whatever. Um, and I definitely think that before I was married, there was so much going on that I wasn't able to completely focus on the ministry. If you guys remember, my dad was diagnosed with a glioblastoma, which is a very aggressive type of brain cancer. And so I was really busy taking care of my family, running my ministry, trying to wedding plan, just like all of the ins and outs that come with life. And while I was still trying to make sure that my prayer life was also not suffering, like I needed to make sure that I kept that up because honestly, it doesn't matter to me if everything else crumbled. If my prayer life is in order, everything else is in order. And I think a lot of time people get that backwards. They think if they let other things kind of fumble or die off or whatever that it's going to affect their life as a whole. But really what affects your life is your prayer and your connection with God, because God will protect you and God will see you through and he protects his faithful. He kind of was able to get into that went on Thursday before the wedding. We had a big uh oh my gosh, we had a big gathering. Well, okay, not big, not very big, but we had a lot of people over to kind of say hi who came from out of town for the wedding, which was a lot of fun. We had a bonfire, we had chicken wings and pizza. It was really nice. And then Friday was the rehearsal. That honestly went out, well, it went off without a hitch. Like it was great. Everyone had a really fun time and we went to the rehearsal dinner, which was at this Middle Eastern place. They have really, really good food. We actually got our wedding cake from there. It was a croquembouche, which is a traditional French wedding cake. And basically, imagine just like a little cone, like a cone of little tiny donuts that are covered in like a hard caramel, and in the side it's like chocolate. So, so good. So that was really, really fun. And then the wedding day honestly was so chill. Okay, I have a fun story. So my sister was my maid of honor, and my best friend Chloe. You guys remember Chloe from I think that was our Steubenville trip. She's the one who drove and with Matt Fradd and everything, like blah blah blah. So you guys remember Chloe? Chloe was my bridesmaid, and then my sister was my maid of honor. So Katie and I went to get coffee, and the only place that was open was Starbucks. So we went to Starbucks. And we walk in and the lady's like, "Oh, what brings you guys in? Are you guys here for the festival?" Because there was like a festival going on. We were like, "No, no, no. Like, we're just here, to get coffee." Because like I told her, I'm like, "I'm getting married today. And it's gonna be so exciting." She's like, "Oh my gosh, congratulations." And then we get to the end, and she drew on my coffee cup. She said, "We're getting married." I'm like, "Oh, that's so cute." And then she gave my sister the same one. So she thought that, yeah, you get the rest. So that was really, really funny. I took a photo because I was just like, this is hilarious. um, and that was just really funny. So, anyways, that happened. And then we laughed about it so much because we thought it was the funniest thing ever. Katie and I don't really look alike anyways, so I can't honestly blame them for thinking we weren't related, but just in general, that whole, you know what I mean? So anyway, we get to the church and I'm like chill. I'm like, yeah, everything's great. I have donuts and bagels and we're hanging out, and I have my mini Pepsis with me with real sugar because I love real sugar Pepsis, especially the little ones. They're so good. And we're just kind of hanging out. And a good friend of mine, she came in to do my hair and makeup. Emma, she is phenomenal. She just had a baby, which was great because we got to be with her through all of that. That was really, really cool of ours. And she did my hair and makeup. Um, and yeah, I mean, honestly, there wasn't really much to report. I got in my dress, we did photos, it was really great. My dad got to walk me down the aisle, which was extremely special because we weren't completely sure if that would happen. And it was just a really, really special day. And then we went to the reception, which was really small and intimate. I think we probably had around 70-ish people there, which was really, really, really nice because it meant that I really got to connect with everybody there and I didn't feel rushed to say hi to people. I got to dance with everybody. I got to dance with the girls I babysit. I got to see some old friends. I got to see Keith. Keith Nestor came to our wedding, which was really special. So he got to hang out with my grandma, who was a huge fan of his. And it was just a lot of fun and it was really laid back. And it really made me realize how important intimacy in weddings are and how little it's usually, I don't know, how little it's usually done. Because a lot of the time, usually what people do is they have these huge extravagant weddings. And I'm like, whoa, if that's what you want, great. I'm not telling you what to do. But for me personally, and going to so many weddings over the years since I was like 11 years old, and seeing these huge extravagant weddings, and then when I was getting married, I expected like, oh, should I also be having a huge extravagant wedding that we go into debt for? And the answer was no. We didn't want that. And we were like, okay, but like, is that going to be weird? Blah, blah, blah. Are people going to be like, I don't want to go because it's too small? Is it going to be too intimate? Is it going to be awkward? Turns out everybody had the best time. Everybody got to talk to everybody. It was really, really nice. And that's why I think, yes, Oscar, that's why I think small weddings are perfect. That's why I think more people should do small weddings. And if you can't afford it, great. And if you have help with it, great. But I don't think it should be the norm. I really think the norm should be intimate, small weddings where you can really enjoy the company of the people you invite and everybody you invite, because I've heard of people who are inviting their fifth cousin twice removed. And I'm like, have you ever even met them? And it's like, no. And I'm like, then why are you inviting them? If they're not a part of your life, if they're not a part of your um, everyday life, why should they be a part of your special day? You should really only have the people there who you feel like are supportive of you and who love you and you want to see and you want to talk to. Um, I just don't feel like every single person in your lineage needs to be, invited. So for me, that was really, really important. And that's what we did. And it ended up being so amazing. We got to talk. It was just so small weddings, intimate weddings are so special and you won't regret doing one. Guaranteed. Okay, so anyway, moving on. So we got married, blah blah blah. We stayed at a hotel for a little while because we were like, might as well just like get away for a bit. And we went to a couple cute restaurants and we went for some hikes and walks and things like that, which was really, really fun. And then we, let me think, what else did we do? Do, 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 do. Um, we didn't really do all that much, to be honest. We did the hikes and stuff. Then we came back and then we were like, "Oh my gosh, we have to pack," because my we were leaving for my sister's wedding because she was getting married a month after us. And we were like, "Oh my gosh, we have to make sure we have everything," because we were road tripping out there. So we were road tripping out there because we were bringing my sister her turtle because she was going to try and sneak it on the plane. And we were like, probably not the best way to transport a turtle. So I just decided to offer to drive the turtle because I was like, well, a road trip might be nice. You know, we could stop at a few places along the way, stop at some cool scenes. And we did. We got to stop at the Badlands. We stopped at Mount Rushmore, a couple other places too that I don't remember off the top of my head. Um, but it took us about 4 days to get out to Washington. And we got out to Washington and we were like pretty okay. We weren't too tired. I thought we expected to be a lot more tired, but the turtle was definitely like difficult to travel with because we couldn't leave her in the car. But she also wasn't a dog or a cat where we could take her into places because, with reptiles, it's like salmonella and blah, 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 blah. So we couldn't really take her in anywhere. So we had to make sure that it wasn't too hot in the car to leave her somewhere if we did decide to go get something to eat. Um, so we ended up just, eating in the car most of the time. But then on top of that, she kept trying to bite us because she wanted to be put down because I would put her down in the grass to get exercise. And we came across this Fatima shrine. So we decided to stop to say a rosary and Divine Mercy chaplet. And while we were doing that, we just let her kind of roam around this giant grassy courtyard. And she loved that. So she got used to that. So every single time we stopped, she wanted out and she wanted to be put down and she wanted to roam around. And I was just like, oh my gosh, Rocky, not every single time we take you out can you roam. Um, but she wanted to. She definitely wanted to. So there was that. And then we finally got to the place and Katie's fiance picked up the turtle, which was really great because she was I think a turtle would be so sorry, just had to wet the whistle. So, um, yeah, I definitely think that, uh, you know, I don't know. I think traveling with animals is really difficult, but I didn't expect traveling with a turtle to be difficult because it's a turtle. And in some ways it definitely wasn't. It definitely wasn't as difficult as I expected or it would be with a dog or a cat, but in some senses it was. Anyway, so the turtle gets to my sister, so that's good. We do a few hikes. The weather's really nice. It wasn't too hot until about like a couple days later. Then it was like in the 90s and I was like, "Oh my gosh, so hot." And we decided to hike up basically this mountain in 90-degree heat. And we had water and everything, but it ended up being a lot more than we expected because it was about 3 miles uphill. Completely just up. There was really no break where it was just like, "Oh, no, no, it's this high." No, it was, like, straight up. I don't remember which hike that one was, but we also did the Stimson's Family Reserve. Honestly, I really like that one because Max and I are very leisure when it comes to hiking. We don't like to be like bum bum bum, we have to get there at a specific time and we got to go go go. We like to take our time, we like to look at what's around us, we like to take photos, and we're both that way, which is really helpful because I know being that way with someone who's can be annoying for both people. um but for me it's like with that one hike that was just completely uphill. Oof. I had to be go, go, go because if we stopped, our legs would turn to jelly and we were just like, "Oh my gosh." So 3 miles uphill, I think it took us probably about 2 hours to get all the way up, and I know that doesn't sound like or it sounds like a lot, but 2 hours and 3 miles is pretty good actually, and then it took us about 2 hours to get down. So, there was that. Um, but yeah, we did a couple. We did the Whatcom waterfall trail. That one was a lot of fun too. And the thing is that because it's so much we're closer to the sun in a way in Washington. And so because of that, you don't feel the dehydration set in as quickly as you would out here where there's a lot more humidity. And so Max ended up getting a little bit sick from that. And it was not a fun time for either of us, but he's okay now. And I think it just came from like the heat, altitude sickness, couple other things, but it's just one of those things that we were like, did it, and we were like, "You're hikers. We like to take our time. We don't like to be rushed, and we don't like very difficult hikes. We just like to have fun." Which I think is how it should be, to be honest. I feel like you should have a lot of fun while hiking. It shouldn't all be rushed and like crazy and stuff. So, that's fun. Okay, let me think. Okay, then after that, so that was basically our entire honeymoon. We hiked, we went to some really cool cocktail bars and lounges and things like that. That was a lot of fun. We went to the Black Cat, obviously, because that's like a staple in Bellingham. But then we also went to Galloway, which is a little more pricey, but their cocktails are so amazing. So good. Um, let me think. And then, yeah, so then it was the week of Katie's wedding. And that was really fun. There were a lot of events that went on. Wednesday was like a family dinner. And then Thursday was family brunch and then an open house at her place. And then Friday was rehearsal and rehearsal dinner and a wine tasting and a hangout. And then Saturday was the wedding, which was really chaotic, but really fun. I mean, what wedding isn't chaotic? And let me think what else. The food was really good at her place. The place that she catered from. I don't remember what she called it, but it was really cool. Anyway, and the music was good. Everything was really good. Max and I kind of opted just to like talk to people because there were a lot of people there that I hadn't seen since I was like 11, which was really, really fun. And yeah, so overall, it was a really, really great trip. But on the way back, we were like, oh my gosh, we just want to be home already. So my parents came on the train. So Katie and her now husband took them back on the train. But we were driving to Forks because we wanted to go where Twilight was quote unquote filmed. Apparently, it wasn't actually filmed in Forks, it was filmed in Oregon. So that would have been nice to know, but we didn't. So we went to Forks. I was pretty let down there. And then we drove 2 10-hour days home and then one 14-hour day home. So it was a lot, but we were just like, we got to get home because I wanted to get back to my ministry. Max starts his job soon. And we just had a whole lot going on. And I'm like, I want to make sure that we're back for mom and dad. And just wanted to make sure that everything was, A okay. But we got back on Thursday. So last Thursday, we got back in the evening, probably around 10 o'clock. And then, yeah, it's been good. It's been crazy. So it was quite chaotic to say the least. But I am back now. I know it's been a month. I missed you all. And I am just like really excited for what's going to come with the ministry, and like everything that the ministry has to offer and what it's going to offer you guys. And I'm really hoping that now that I've kind of had a fresh look at everything and I've been able to kind of step back, I can now, I don't know, kind of get more into the less of like the business side of things and more into the connection side of things, because I feel like that's something I was kind of lacking previously, maybe not like consistently lacking, but it's definitely something I want to focus a lot more on now. And this is my new set. I know we've kind of moved around a lot. First we were in my room, then we were in here, but I was facing the bookshelf instead of where I am now. Then we were downstairs, and now we're back here. Well, actually, we were at my parents', and now we're back here. So it's been quite a moving around, a little bit, actually a lot. But I appreciate your guys' patience in, just knowing that I'm always in a new place and constantly just trying to work on things and, doing my best. But at the end of the day, I am just happy to be back and back in the saddle again, and being able to do all this stuff has been really fun. If you guys want to see pictures of my wedding, you'll have to go on Instagram cuz I can't you guys can't really see it, but you guys are like all the way over there and I'm here. So, if I tried to show I can try. I can try. All right, let me try. I'll show you one, and then you guys have to go to my Instagram because it's just a lot easier than me trying to find all my photos. Um, but yeah, overall, everything was really, really good. And I'm very thankful for family and for Max and for you guys. And I think I've just really gotten a new outlook on life after getting a break from everything and traveling, and just a change of scenery, I feel like was really important for me. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I feel like things are good. Let me see. Okay. Can you guys yeah. See, I don't there we go. So there's one photo. Um, but yeah, you guys can go on my Instagram and see more. But yeah, I just feel like things have kind of shifted a little bit and I feel like I'm a lot more refreshed. So I'm very, very excited. So now, if you guys have questions, I will now take questions. I know you guys have been posting them a lot. I have been seeing them, but I'm sorry, I can't really scroll up because I'd be missing them. So if you had a question, repost it. I'll try to get to it. No guarantees because there are usually a lot. So oh, thank you, Daff. I really appreciate it. Max did all the lighting. He does all of my sets. He has an eye for it. So I always leave it up to him. Of course, I get say in how it looks, but he always does a wonderful job. Oh, while waiting though, if you guys noticed my Father Sam French's sweatshirt, you guys should definitely go check him out. There's a bigger image of this on the back, but basically it says Catholic priests, the original Ghostbusters. I live in this sweatshirt. I eat and breathe and live in this sweatshirt. I hardly ever take this sweatshirt off. And I don't know what it is about this sweatshirt specifically, but there's something about it where I don't take it off. So, anyways, if you guys want to go check out Father Sam French on Instagram, I think he has a YouTube channel, but I'm not positive on that. We did a podcast not too long ago. But yeah, there you go. So definitely go check him out on Instagram. How did you meet your husband? We met at our church at a young adult group. It was in so we met in July of 2022. We started dating in November of 2022. We got engaged of April of 2023 and we got married June 8th of 2024. So, all kind of like boom, 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 boom. But honestly, when you know, and you shouldn't have to put off marriage because marriage is really, really important and you guys will figure it out together. So yeah, we met at our church. Um, how is it to be married? Do you feel any different? Yeah, I mean, the spiritual graces that come from a sacramental marriage are phenomenal. I cannot tell you how special it is to be under Max's authority and spiritual authority because he's a very holy man and he's very devout. And so because of that, I have found a switch in myself that I feel more devout and I feel like I want to pray more because whoever says like, "Oh, marriage graces in marriage don't actually change anything," like they're clearly doing it wrong. Graces in marriage change everything, and I just think it's really special that Max is so devout because now I want to be more devout. So definitely, definitely different, and it's phenomenal. I love it. Hang on. Mhm. Okay. What's your advice for someone like me who is a devout Catholic who attends the TLM, but my entire family is atheist and anti Catholic? Any suggestions on how I should handle this situation? I mean, I guess it kind of depends on whether or not, you know, I guess it depends on whether or not they're hostile. I feel like if they're not hostile towards it and they're not bothering you at all, I would just kind of leave it alone. You can, of course, set a good example, sacrifice and pray for them. But if they're not being rude or anything towards you, I'd say don't broke something that's not fixed. I had my are bullying you though and da 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 da. Learn to pick your battles wisely. I would say don't always engage, but when you do, make sure you know what you're talking about and learn the faith as best as you can to rebuke or rebuttal anything that they have against the Catholic Church. And sometimes it's personal opinion. Other times they'll be like, "Oh, well, doesn't the church didn't the church make people pay for indulgences?" Yeah, that was wrong. Okay, and so I would say first you have to learn what they believe and you need to connect with them on a deeper level and to have that friendship and that trust and honesty there with them. Um, and if that's impossible because of the way that they're treating you, I would say don't close the door. Leave it a little ajar, don't like cut them off completely because you might be the only person able to minister to them. But it kind of falls into the same thing I just said, where it's like you just have to pray, sacrifice, keep them at arm's length, love them at a distance. If you still live with them, I know that's a lot harder. So there's different things that kind of, correlate with that. But I would definitely say that, I would definitely say that the most important thing would be, being a good example, know your faith really well. And that's just in general. We should all know our faith very well. Too many people are poorly catechized. Um, and, you know, love them. Set a good example, but also make sure you don't throw your pearls to swine. Make sure that you are also taking care of yourself spiritually. And sometimes people like that are spiritual vampires and you have to love them at a distance. So, oop. So, again, I don't really have specifics, but I hope that helps. I hope that that helps. Let's see here. Read any good books lately? No, but I did get some. Um, I think they're behind me actually. So I got the Diary of Saint Faustina finally because that's one I've been wanting for a really, really long time. I know I still haven't read it. I know, but I finally have it. And then difficulties in mental prayer. That's more for Max, but I also think I need that, book too. So I haven't read any of these yet because we literally got them yesterday. And then I got The Case for Jesus, a Eucharistic kind of consecration, and then a book on like ministry and, how to follow God's will in your ministry, that type of thing. So I'm excited for those. But I haven't really had any time to read books recently. So yeah. Did I move out of my parents'? Yes, I did move out of my parents' house. I'm living with Max and we're still close enough to my parents. Um, car. So when Max starts his job, that's going to be a little bit more tricky. So we're going to try to work something out where like I drop him off at work, go help my parents with things, whatever, and then come back. So we'll kind of see how all of that works, but I did move out of my parents' house. What is the salt lamp behind me? It's a salt lamp. I don't know. she's she's orange. She's, I've had this salt lamp since before I was born. So my mom had the salt lamp. It's not mine. It's my mom's. And she's had it before I was born. So I sorry, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Um so yeah. Didn't you put off your marriage for over a year? How did you know you knew? I can't really tell you guys how I know I knew. Like it's just something that happens to you and it just has to happen to you. I can't explain it. A lot of people want me to be like, "Oh, how did you know? How did you know?" Y- it has to happen to you. Because I had the same question. I'm like, "But how did you know? How did you know?" And then it happened to me and I'm like, "Oh, how on earth did I ever expect anyone to explain it?" So, I can't tell you because I don't know, but you will. And no, we did not put our marriage off for a year. It was a recommendation by the church. So, we were engaged for 6 months because we had to go through pre-Cana, which took about 6 months. And then after that, we were trying to find a date that we could get married while it still made sense because Max was going through his master's program And that took up so much time that he wasn't able to really help me with marriage planning. So we wanted to get married right out of his master's program, which put us in June. And it ended up being the traditional feast of the Immaculate Heart, I think. I want to say that's correct. So we didn't put off our marriage. We followed the requirements of the church, and we also did what made sense for us. And what made sense for us was waiting a year. But at that point, actually, when we decided we wanted to get married, it was a little bit over a year. Um, but it's what made sense to us and it's what we wanted. We wanted to get married quickly, but we didn't want to be imprudent about it and rush it. So we went with what we decided. Um, any tips on living simply in a consumerist world? I would say you have to you kind of have to be very intentional about what you buy, and I would say invest in good articles of clothing. There is a time and place for Amazon, okay? Sometimes with undershirts, sometimes with regular t-shirts, I just buy in bulk because sometimes and I don't want to throw out like $60 for a regular black t-shirt. But when it comes to like statement pieces or like dresses, things like that. I used to get a lot of that on Amazon, but the quality was so bad. And now I just thrift. I think thrifting is really fantastic. I get some things off Amazon still just because of I can't find it anywhere, which is really, really annoying. Or if you can find it somewhere, like I said, t-shirts are like 60 bucks and I just needed like an undershirt. So I would say thrift most of your clothing and invest in good pieces. You know what I mean? So that might involve you actually having to go to a mall and try on stuff. It might involve you having to dish out a couple extra bucks for something that's a quality item, that's a timeless piece. But I don't think you'll ever regret investing in an article of clothing that's going to last you, but also is timeless. So I would say definitely check out thrifting because that works. Oh, thank you. Definitely praying for France. I got you. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate it. Okay, let's see. Hang on. We got married in St. John, Kansas, which is in Chicago. Mm. Any tips on getting married young, especially with the current economy? The modern world seems to be against marrying young, but like you said, I agree to figure it out together. Yeah, honestly, the world's against us 100%. The world does not want us to get married. There's just a lot wrong with it 100%. I would say I would say go for it anyway. I mean, the thing is that money comes and goes. Jobs come and go. You can marry someone with a really great job and everything and they lose it tomorrow. There's no guarantee, but the thing is when you're together, you guys will figure things out. And I think that's the most important thing for Max and me is that when we first met, Max didn't have a job. He was in school. We had no way of knowing whether or not he would get a job or not, but he did. And I think it really comes down to when you marry someone, are they willing to sacrifice? Are they willing to give up the little things to cultivate a life of virtue with you, to get to heaven with you? Are you more important to them and is God more important to them than having the niceties and having all of the latest Gucci bags and things like that? You need to marry somebody who's willing to sacrifice and who's willing to work hard. And I'm mainly speaking to the men here because I do believe that like women want majority of women I talk to, they want to be stay-at-home mothers and they're afraid because, the person that they want to date or they want to marry doesn't have a job yet. And, I tell them, I'm like, well, are they a hard worker? Are they going to sacrifice for you? Are they going to, continuously try to find a job, even if it's not in something they necessarily want to do? For example, one of my spiritual director's father was he was a professor, lost his job, and then he got a job at Ace at a hardware store. because he still provided for his family, even though it wasn't something he wanted to do. And then a few years later, in his professorship, whatever, he was back being a professor. So my thing is, you should marry someone who's going to sacrifice for you, who's going to be a hard worker, and someone who you know is going to take care of you when things get hard. Because at the end of the day, that should matter a lot more than the economy or the world we live in. Because if you're together, you guys are solid. You know what I mean? Um, so you just have to make sure. I mean, there's difficulties, don't get me wrong, but I'd say go for it. Just make sure you marry someone who has virtue. 100%. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. If you had to go on a pilgrimage, where would you pick? Definitely Assisi, 100%. Do 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 do. Okay. Oh, I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that's amazing. They got married young at 18 and they're still together 41 years later. That's so beautiful. Uh, Marrying young is hard. I want to be a doctor, and marrying young is really hard to do while going through medical. Do it anyways, even if it's hard. Hard things, but I mean, getting married, it's one day. You know what I mean? Max and I sometimes wish we picked a day that was sooner. Obviously, we followed God's providence and, his will for us, but sometimes we wish we got married sooner. Because we were kind of banking on him finishing his master's degree first before getting married because he just simply had no time. But genuinely, sometimes we wish we would have gotten married sooner. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm also not like, or we should have gotten married sooner. Like, no. But sometimes we were like, oh, it would have been cool if we could have gotten married sooner. Don't rely on your job as a as like uh, a milestone. Like, don't be like, okay, I'm gonna get my residency and then I'm gonna get married, or I'm gonna do this and then I'm gonna do that, and da 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 da. Everybody seems to put work, school, money, etc. above marriage, and it's really the other way around. People used to get married without a dime in their pocket. People used to get married and figure it out. Again, like I said, don't be imprudent with the person you marry. If you marry a hard worker, someone who's sacrificing, etc., you are always going to be able to rely on them and you won't have to worry about those things. And if you guys are both, God fearing, like you're Catholic, you're practicing, you go receive the sacraments, you're constantly working on your faith life, God will also provide and he will take care of his faithful. And I think a lot of people try to, they grip a little too hard in trying to get things done, and they treat it like a milestone. But in reality, like I said, uh, your job is never promised tomorrow. Your life is never promised tomorrow. So we should really just be taking the opportunities as we can, as of what God calls us to. And not everybody's super is called to getting married super young, and some people aren't called to getting married in a year. But I definitely think you should know whether or not you want to marry someone within 6 months. And then by that time, you should either, I mean, I feel like 3 months is enough time personally. But by 6 months, it should be the cutoff. Are you going to marry this person or not? Because we date to marry. If not, let them go. Don't try to play well, maybe they'll change game, because no. And if you are going to get married within the year. Depending on how your church does it, it just depends. So, yeah. How did you guys avoid fornication and near occasions in courtship over a year and a half? We honestly thought it was going to be a lot harder, in the sense, like, it was hard. Don't get me wrong. Like, it was really, really difficult in some areas, but we had really, really strict boundaries. Like, not really, really, really strict. Like, we weren't allowed to hold hands, but just like the line was drawn in the sand. We both respected each other. uh, mortally sinning in a relationship. You both have to be on the same page. And, when it comes down to it, Max and I, we really wanted to save ourselves for marriage. We really wanted to keep that. And so we did. And we just, I don't really know how to we did it. We didn't try to be like, "Oh, it's so hard," and da da we were like, "Yeah, it sucks," but we were like, "But it's gonna be so amazing in marriage," and we never crossed that line. We never crossed that boundary because we both knew the boundary. We both knew where that hard line was drawn, never crossed it. And honestly, that's what's really important is relationships. You guys have to be on the same page with boundaries. And I have a lot of girls, well, I guess some guys too, to an extent. Sorry. And he's the one who is leading you down that path. Break up with him. He's not husband material. Your boyfriend or girlfriend should not be leading you to mortal sin. They should not be leading you away from Christ. They should be leading you to Christ. And if they're leading you away from Christ, break up with them. It's a harsh truth, but it's true. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, but maybe he'll change." No, don't do that. Don't waste time on somebody who clearly does not respect you enough to respect your wishes after having a conversation with you. You do have to have a conversation with them though. You can't just be like, "Oh, I don't feel like it, whatever." Like, no, you have to sit them down and be like, "Hey, I really want to work on being pure and I really want to work on our chastity." And if they're on the same page and they respect that and you guys work on it together, great. But if they're constantly pushing you, if they're constantly overstepping that boundary, break up with them. Genuinely, break up with them because that is not marriage material. You don't want someone who's constantly going to lead you down the path of sin. And at the end of the day, you're going to have to make that decision. Is it God more important or are your emotions and feelings more important towards that person? Because I guarantee you, I had a lot of relationships in the past where I was just like, "Oh, I'll never get over this person. Like, oh my gosh, like we've been together for so long. Da, 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 da." I'm over it. It sucked for a little bit. It sucked for a little bit, maybe like a month, but I got over it. And I focused on myself and I focused on Christ and I recognized the red flags and I didn't let myself fall into that, "Oh, but remember the good times" type. No. I kept a diary. I remember writing down everything that happened. I didn't sugarcoat it. And I went back and I read that diary to remind myself of all the things that this person either did to me or that they were leading me down the path of sin, etc. And it really helped me kind of snap out of that, "Oh, but remember the good time" thing because honestly, I didn't want someone who was going to lead me away from Christ. And that's what every single one of them did except for Max. And Max is a very, patient, humble, very willing to help me with anything, and he's always there, for me. And he's never once led me down a path of sin, not once. We've been confused at times. We're like, but he's never purposefully overstepped any boundaries I ever had, vice versa. That's mutual respect. That's what you want in a relationship. That's what you want in a future husband or wife. And I think too many people sell themselves short or they settle and then they're disappointed. And that is going to sacrifice and going to love you and is going to lead you towards Christ. And marriage is a cross, but you need to embrace it and you need to recognize that it's you and your husband or you and your wife against a problem, not you against your wife or husband. And I definitely think that's something that Max and I have been really, really good about. Um, I think we've never had an issue where we're like, "You're the problem." It's always been like, "This is an issue. What do we do about it?" Um, so I definitely think that it's just so important. And I know this kind of turned into more of a relationship thing than an update, but whatever. Um, my patron saints are Saint Francis of Assisi, Saint Ambrose, Saint Rose of Lima. I think that's it. I think I only have 3. Also, Our Lady of Guadalupe. I don't talk about her all that much because, or sorry, Our Lady of Sorrows. Why did I say Our Lady of Guadalupe? I love Our Lady of Guadalupe, not gonna lie. But Our Lady of Sorrows, I used to talk about her a whole lot. Um, so yeah, just a reminder, she's still very near and dear to my heart, but I just haven't been able to talk about her all that much because I don't know why. Maybe I should. I should. Um, but yeah, so 10 out of 10. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoy this live stream. I'm gonna have to hop off, unfortunately. I have to go start dinner and things like that. But I really appreciate you guys staying tuned. Don't forget to go check out my website at thereligioushippie.com. I also have a podcast called A Catholic's Perspective. Season 5 is coming out in September. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. A bonus episode went up yesterday, 2 days ago. It went up recently with Patrick O'Hearn. If you guys know about him, he is phenomenal. And we talk about courtship and dating and all of that stuff. So if you guys want, you can listen to it on Apple, Spotify, etc. Also follow me on social media at thereligioushippie.com. At the Religious Hippie. Sorry, religioushippie.com is my website, but visit both. And I will talk to you guys next time. Bye, guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye.